So hey guys, Captain Rick Murphy here from the Florida Insider Fishing Report. And tarpon is something that we pursue all through the beautiful state of Florida. And certainly down in the Florida Keys, where I've been guiding for a lot of years, there's some certain rules of thumb that you should probably follow. Now remember this, whenever you're deciding what fly to pick, the one thing that you want to make sure that you do is consider the time of day. Now, the reason why that's so important is understand that a tarpon is generally below the fly as you're stripping the fly. So what that basically means, early in the morning when you have a low light situation, you're going to want to use a dark fly. We have a saying amongst fly fishermen, and that is the darker the sky, the darker the fly. So early in the morning, late in the evening, you might want to use your purples and your blacks. You can, use bunnies, you can use deceiver type of flies. It's up to you. So that's one good rule to remember. Now, as the sun brightens up, we use this other saying, the brighter the sky, the brighter the fly. So then that's when you're going to want to transition over to your yellows, like this lime drop or a lemon drop or a yellow toad. Those are the key things that you're going to want to do when it actually starts to brighten up. Now, I think, and I learned this from Al Pfluger, the one thing that's so important is if you can see your fly in reference to where the fish is, then you're going to know exactly when to strip. So sometimes I'll actually pick a fly that I can see with a little head, like this orange head, so that I can see it a good ways away. Or I might throw a lime truce over grass bottom in the hot, bright part of the day so that I can actually see it against that olive color. Now, sometimes what'll happen is you'll make a cast and the fish will act like they're ignoring the fly. And I want you to know that tarpon aren't in the business of ignoring anything. So what you have to decide at that point is, as an angler, this is what you owe to yourself, and that is that when you make what you think's a good cast, you're looking for a reaction out of the fish. So as you're stripping the fly, you're looking to see if that fish is going to turn and he's going to track the fly. If he didn't eat it at that point, then maybe you just didn't wiggle it to entice him enough, and so you want to change what happens when they start following it. But they're not in the business of ignoring. So if you strip the fly and you think it's a great cast, and I don't care how good a cast you think it is, as a guide, I'm going to tell you, did we get a reaction out of the fish? If you say no, it's because maybe the fly was at the right distance, but it was up here. We didn't lead them enough, and so the fly didn't have a chance to sink. If you're going to be on the ocean side, the one thing you're going to want to do is use smaller flies. You might use a fly like these palello worm type of flies. Use a lot lighter leader, a 40 pound or even 30 pound. And remember guys, you don't ever catch a tarpon without the bite. So you can actually have a big leader on there, and they're seeing the leader because the water's crystal clear, and you're not going to ever get a bite, so you don't have to worry about them braiding through. So go down in smaller size of leader, and you'll find that you'll get more bites, and you're going to lose some fish, but at least you're getting the bites, and you're going to learn a lot more about your tarpon fishing. The other thing that's really important is that you simply have to stay attuned to the depth of the fly. So if you know that, you can use flies that have a little bit of weight. I use a little lead that I'll wrap on the shank of the hook up here, and that'll allow the fly to sink down to a level. As you can see, I have a variety of different flies in different shapes. It's really important that I use, some have bee chain eyes, some have lead eyes, and I vary that depending on where I want to get. The other thing is they'll have bunnies. So in the back country of the Florida Keys, or a place where they don't get a lot of pressure, like when you get up in Apalachicola and along the coast of Destin, when all those fish are migrating through there, you want to match the color water, use something that looks like a bait fish. But if the water's a little dirty, then you can transition to these bigger bunny type of flies, a fly that pushes water, that has maybe some type of deer hair front, so that when you're stripping it, it actually pushes a little water. I love the bunny tail flies because they seem to jubilate quite a lot when we're stripping it. Now there's two types of strips that we're going to consider, guys. We're going to do little tiny strips so that we're giving the fly a lot of life without moving it very far, or we might do a long, slow strip so that it's just kind of floating there in his face. Again, we're looking for that reaction out of the fish. He turns and chases the fly, or maybe when you strip the fly, he turns away from it. You at least know at that point that you have to make a fly change because he rejected it. Or maybe the fly was coming at him and charging him, and that isn't something that they're really like as well. So understand that you're looking, the single most important thing when you're fly fishing for tarpon, bonefish, redfish, is look for a reaction out of the fish, and then you'll know that they have actually seen the fly. Another little trick that I do is I take my leader and I pre-stretch it, and then I keep it in a nice little piece of PVC tube like this so that it stays nice and straight. We're going to start off with about 16 to 18 inches because we can't exceed, the bite leader can exceed, including the knots, 12 inches from the eye of the hook to your first knot like you see here. So guys, if you like what you see here, you like some of the information that you're hearing on the Captain Rick Murphy YouTube channel, just click on the button below.